Hey, everybody, it's yours truly, the Iceman, Jamie Dundee, and you're listening to Wolfie D's Live and in Color, because don't diss the man or we'll bum rush your mother.
Hey, this is Jimmy Street, host of the Live and in Color with Wolfie D podcast. Hear the life and times of professional wrestler Wolfie D. From his time in the territories with PG-13 to his time in WWE, ECW, WCW, TNA, and more. Nothing is off limits and nothing will be held back. Thanks again for tuning in. Here he is, Wolfie D. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome one more time to Live and in Color with Wolfie D, and I am, as always, Jimmy across the street. And today we don't have a Wolfie or a guest, so we're going deep into the archives. And I figured I would do something really special for y'all. I'm going digging into the archives of Gimme Back My Pro Wrestling, and I'm bringing you one half of PG-13. That's right, the other half. Normally I'm giving you Wolfie D. Well, today you're getting Jamie Dundee. You're getting the first half of the interview we did with Jamie back in February 2024. We talk about all kinds of great stuff. Jamie starting the business, getting in the business, and all that. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you want to hear the rest of the interview, just jump on over to @GMBMPW, and you can check out that full interview there. I'll put the link to the interview in the notes of the show. Once again, thank y'all again for listening. Hope y'all enjoy this little look back in the archives. Peace.
When you think about your future, you know what calls to you. Meaningful work, happiness, growth, and sharing these values with others. But how will you find all of that? There are many paths forward, including one you may not have considered. The military provides countless opportunities to pursue your calling, where you can be part of something bigger than yourself, while still being yourself and having the future you want. You have a calling, we have an answer. Learn more at todaysmilitary.com.
Hey folks, to get your official Live and in Color with Wolfie D merchandise, go to prowrestlingtees.com/live Wolfie D. Check it out.
If you're listening to Live and in Color with Wolfie D on Apple Podcast and like what you're hearing, go ahead and leave a 5-star rating. And while you're at it, write a review. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you'd like to hear in the future. It's very important to us and always appreciated. Thanks again. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, and we've got a very special guest today. It's Jamie Dundee, JC Ice, the Iceman. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm great, man. I've got my youngest baby girl with me. We went and just got our nails done. We because the cell phone world just like something happened, and she was like, bless her heart, she was flipping out, and I thought I was gonna have to commit her to a mental institution. Daddy, the phone's not working, the internet's not working, I can't talk to my boyfriend. You know how it is. I mean, you can't talk to your boyfriend at 15. That's the end of the world, bro. Hey, J-Star, say hello. Say hello to the world. Say hello, world. Hey, there you go. That's my baby girl.
The famous J-Star. We love it.
That's J-Star. That's right. And I named all my youngins kind of after my life. They're all JDs, kind of like the Jarretts. All the Jarretts are double J's, you know. Right, and mine just all of a sudden, all mine are JDs. I got another one named JC, which is after JC Ice. I mean, I got all kind of I got a Jordan Sky. I got all kind of funky Blaze Carrera. I got some cool ass kids, man. It's some cool ass names. I mean, they'd have to put up with me because people don't understand. It's hard to live with me.
Yeah. Well, and that's understandable, man. You know, the life of a wrestler doesn't always make for the best fathers, the best mothers. But when it comes down to it, you kind of, I think what I've liked to see about you, man, is you've really made like a total familial change, man. Like you can tell that you're not the same old Jamie. Again, you probably sometimes think like the same old Jamie, but you can tell, bro. You can tell you've kind of stepped it up, man.
Man, you know, here's the thing. Damn it, I didn't sign up for this, bro. I didn't sign up to be the grandfather, to be the responsible one. I never signed up for this. I didn't know my turn was going to come. Hey, listen, I quit doing drugs 15 years ago. Hate it. Hate every minute of it. Wish I was still doing drugs, running the roads, famous, and have a bunch of money. But I'm not. Now I'm just a grandpa and a dad, and I just do normal stuff. Because here's the thing, what most people probably don't understand. In my life, when I grew up in the wrestling business, it was a mafia. My dad hung out with wrestlers. My mom hung out with wrestlers' wives, and I hung out with wrestlers' kids, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so if everybody was doing it, it can't be wrong, no matter what it was, because everybody was doing it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so growing up in my world was, and then one day I entered the entertainment world at a very young age, and then by the time I'm 30 years old, man, I've done more than most 60-year-olds have done in our business, in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And
definitely.
Time flew by so fast, and then one day, my wife of 15 years, she challenged me, man, and nobody challenges me. I don't care what it is. If it's going dark, if it's a race, I always have to accept the challenge. And she said, Jamie Dundee, you're fun, but I can't be with you because you do drugs. Yeah. And I said, shit, I'm Jamie Dundee. I do whatever I want. I'll quit. She said, you can't quit. And this is no joke, brother. Cold turkey, stopped. And I never, ever, ever turned back and did any dope except one time I had a backslide about a year after I said I would quit. But one day became a week became a month. And then I said, no shit. I ain't been high. I did nothing in a month. And then it became proud. Then it became a pride thing to me, really. And then 1 month was 3 months was a year, and now it's 15 years later, bro. And I'm like, wow, no kidding, man. All because my wife of today's challenged me, and I've always been one of them challenging me. I'll show you. Right. Like, as Dr. Tom Pritchard said, I now drink you, I now smoke you. I'm Jamie Dundee. Well, that's what happened in my sobriety kind of world too. It was like, wow, man. And now it's pride. And now I still spend a lot of money like I did back then, but I spend it on dumb stuff like video games and my kids. And
that's good though. I mean, dude, see, the cool thing is,
man, life is short, brother. Life is really, really short. Super short. And everybody is going to take their time to have to be buried. And you never know when. It can be right now. It can be at the end of the show. I mean, so time is so short, man, that I've really learned a lot in the last 15 years of sobriety, because when you're sober mind, you look at things a little different than you would if you were intoxicated in any kind of way, you know? Yeah,
absolutely, man. And, I don't want to start off with a bummer, but to kind of start off, obviously recently you've had a smack in the face of life with the loss of your son, Austin Dundee.
Very much.
Obviously I sent you a message, man. I'm very sorry, that happened. I can't imagine, because I have a son and I can't imagine losing him. So I don't even know how to put it in words.
Jimmy, I don't know how to put it in words either. I try to tell my children now and my grandchildren, because out of such a bad tragedy, such a good thing has came about, because it's bonded all my children. It's bonded my grandchildren with us. It's really gave a perspective on, wow, life is not promised for nobody, because everybody in the family, you expect, you're supposed to bury your parents. Right. You're never supposed to bury your children. And it's just one of those things, and he's a Dundee too. So he's just like me. We butted heads. We've gone 1.5 years, 2 years without speaking. It's one of those, but he came to my house just a few months ago, and we spent all weekend together, and he knew I loved him. And, because when you're the son of an entertainer, well, any entertainment, a rock band, a movie star, whatever it may be, when that entertainment person is down and they're entertaining, the children, I guess they would feel left out, because my dad was an entertainer, and I felt left out a lot of times, because my dad couldn't come to the hospital if I was sick, because he had to go to Memphis, and he had to go to Louisville, and he had to go to Evansville, because the show must go on. And that's what feeds you. You know what I mean? And so
exactly.
It's such a lonely world in a sense, but also you as the old dude Haystack said one time, he said, I'm surrounded by people, but I always feel so lonely. Because it's so true, because everybody in the world just thinks your life is whatever they think it is, and they think it's so great, but they don't ever think of the sacrifices and the children at home and the wives and the women, and but all I know is, man, that if you got any kind of beef with any family member or anybody that's in your family or in your life, because family don't mean blood, that just means people that are in your life that are there for you when you need them.
Yeah.
If you got a little problem with them over some dumb shit like some money or just, you go fix it, man, because life is so short, bro. And this really has opened everybody in the Dundee Clans family. It's opened our eyes to, wow, man, life is just so short. I mean, I buried my brother-in-law, Bobby. I buried my sister.
Yeah.
I buried my mother. My dad had dementia. All that that's okay, because that's kind of how it's supposed to be. They were all older and they've all lived their life. But to bury a child, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't even know. There's no words to tell somebody how it is unless it happens to you. And I hope it never happens to nobody, because it's the worst thing in the world, bro. It's not meant to be, man. It's just not something our body is programmed to do.
Man, my jaw hit the floor, brother, and I just felt so sorry for you, man. I was like, golly, here I know, because I've heard and I know, as everyone knows, I've said it a million times, I'm the co-host of Wolfie D's podcast. So obviously Wolfie D's co-host is going to know a lot about Jamie Dundee too, and when it comes down to
Wolfie, I mean, if you talk about Wolfie, you talk about me. If you talk about me, you talk about Wolfie, because we did it together. We were there at the same time. We did it all together. Except
your brothers for life.
I had the $800 tab bill and challenge me. That was all me by myself.
Well, I mean, again, massive condolences from ours.
Yeah, man.
Man. Thank you. And here's the thing. It's one of those. He's got an 8-year-old daughter, my granddaughter. He's got a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old, and it's just so. It's just one of those things. And listen, I'm not. The autopsy ain't back, but I'm no idiot. I'm a streetwise dude, and I know that what killed my boy was fentanyl, and I know this in the bottom of my heart. And when that autopsy comes back, that's what it's going to say. And most people would be ashamed of that, and I'm saying this to tell most. Don't do fentanyl, man. Don't do, in our days, listen, cocaine couldn't kill you, bro. You could snort all the cocaine you wanted, your nose would just block up, and it wouldn't kill you. But the stuff today, the street drugs of today, they're homemade, and they're just, I don't understand, man. It's a 50-50 shot when you do it, if you're going to live, man. And believe me, if it was a 50-50 shot I was going to live or not, because I love me and I really want to live a long time, I would have never got high, and I can say that 100%. But nowadays, I mean, it's crazy, because they put fentanyl in these pills, and they got pill forms, and they make it. And my boy probably thought he was doing a Lortab. That's no joke.
Right.
And he was out of a rehab. He had been clean for about a year and a half, and so and bam, they found him on the floor in the bathroom with the shower running. So my guess is he came home, he got him whatever he was going to do. He did a little bit, and a little bit was too much, man. So I'm just telling people, I mean, it's crazy, but you can't tell nobody nothing. People you have to learn the hard way, and this is really a hard way to learn, for real.
It is.
It's terrible. I wouldn't wish it on nobody, man.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that is so true what you just said. If people could learn from other people's experiences, it would be an easy world, man. You know what I mean?
Very, very much so. That's right. Because here's the thing: we as drug addicts, or we as whatever it is, it's not going to happen to us.
Right.
That happens to everybody else. Like I told Austin's mama, I said, this ain't how our story's supposed to end.
Right.
You know, that's everybody else's story. That's not. Listen, if they would have said Jamie Dundee was found dead, OD'd or something, the whole world would have went, well, no shit.
Right.
You know, just like the crocodile hunter. We wanted him to get eaten by a crocodile. He wasn't supposed to die by a thing off of a stingray. You know what I mean?
Right.
It don't go. It don't fit the story, man.
Right.
And so it's but see, I teach my kids and my grandkids. I don't ever want to mourn death. I want death to celebrate, because if you're a believer, then he's gone on to better things than this shitty life, man.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But if you're not a believer, then still celebrate the good, celebrate the happiness, celebrate the fun, because every single person on this planet has to die, bro.
Yeah.
So so to me, you should celebrate it. You should say, listen, at my funeral, I want people drinking. I want them smoking pot. I want them jamming on Kid Rock. I want the Jelly Rolls down on Struggle. I want my boy Easy Jesus Allen Coe up there playing the guitar. I want it to be celebrated and all the fun, because I had a lot of fun in my life, and I want my funeral to be fun. I don't want a bunch of people sitting there mourning and crying and looking over my body. I want everybody there saying, hell yeah, Dundee, he didn't give a shit anyway. Rock on, here's a beer, my boy. You know what I mean? It's just, we all have to take our turn. And so it's just, I guess, those that are left behind are the ones that suffer, because the one that's passed away has gone on to better things, man. Is, if you're a Christian and a believer, if not, then he's gone on to whatever it is you believe. Right.
Yeah. Well, Wolfie and I have a saying together that we think you'll outlive us all, though, Jamie. It'll be you.
You know what? That's funny to say, but that's usually, I've always lived my life for Jamie Dundee first and foremost. Now that I'm a grandpa, which I didn't sign up to be, I didn't sign up to be the responsible one. I did not sign up to be, I didn't know it was coming. I never ever thought about the day when in life, everybody goes to their grandparents' house if they need something or want something, and the grandparents always give it to them. And I didn't sign up for that. When did I become the top? I'm the grandpa. I'm the oldest in the family. I'm the one that's supposed to tell everybody right from wrong. Well, I don't know right from wrong.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell my grandkids and my kids, but I do know to tell them that if you live a good life, good things come to you. I believe in a karma life. I believe in a karma world. If you wake up every day trying to do karma, you try to do bad, conniving, scam and shit, then that's what comes back to you, man. If you wake up every day and just try to get by and survive and just do what you feel is the right thing to do, then I believe that that's what comes back to you, man. I really do, 100%.
Yeah, I think there's something to that for sure, man. And, we kind of pivot to a little bit of wrestling here. Jared, he always takes the first question. Obviously, this is a totally different show because Jamie Dundee is on the show with us.
Let's get on some wrestling talk. This is called Give Me Back My Wrestling, not Jamie Dundee's sad story. Shit.
No, man. But, we want you to be able to talk about it, though. So take it away, Plastic Sheet.
All right, Jamie. So this is a question that's going to, I wouldn't mind you to answer this in maybe two ways.
Okay.
So I always like to know, like, a Mount Rushmore of wrestling for you. Like, who influenced you? Who did you like to watch? Who do you think is the greatest of all time? And it's a totally opinion question. And you could also give me some tag. You should also give me a solo and a tag team, though.
The very greatest, the reason I became a wrestler, being the son of a wrestler, you really don't want to grow up and be a wrestler. You do when you're a little boy, you watch your daddy on TV, and that's cool, and you go to the shows, but it's kind of like you don't, my daughter, my 15-year-old sitting here with me, she has never seen me in the ring but one time in 15 years. Yeah. And you see what I'm saying? And because it's a totally different world, and when you get struck by that stardom part, but what made me want to be a professional wrestler is the greatest professional wrestler on our planet, and that was my brother-in-law, beautiful Bobby Eaton.
Boom.
When I watched Bobby Eaton in the ring, brother, I said, wow, this dude has got it. And of course, my dad was my hero, of course, like all little boys. And Jerry the King Lawler, by God, Lawler and Dundee, if you have never seen a Lawler and Dundee match, when you turn one of them on, you won't know if it's a work or if it's a shoot or it's so believable that I still to this day don't know. But it's Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, my brother-in-law, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and of course Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Because those people were around my whole entire life. When my daddy became a booker and went to Louisiana for Bill Watts, or we went to Charlotte for Crockett, or we went to wherever we went, here and there, bounced all over the world, my dad would always take the Midnight Express, the Rock and Roll Express, a referee named Ronnie West, and he would take guys like Terry Taylor or a few others, but always the Rock and Roll, the Midnight, and Bill Dundee, and we would move and we would all go together. You know what I'm saying? Awesome. And so those gentlemen have been such a big part of my life that Bobby passing away was just, it was the very first really devastating, because I believe me, I buried a lot of my wrestling brothers that I loved and that I've been up and down. But when Bobby Eaton passed away, it was bad, man. And but also that's like I said, I have learned to accept death. Death is coming for every one of us, whether we want it to or not. And so I just feel that to become a professional wrestler, what made me say this is what I'm doing is watching my brother-in-law wrestle Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. I mean, honestly, when I watched it, it was just the greatest thing in the world. And then, then of course, everyone knows the Rock and Roll versus the Midnight is, bar none, the greatest. Or hell, the Rock and Roll versus anybody or the Midnight versus anybody is
right.
Amen. Dundee. That is what made me want to be a wrestler.
Man, there was a match with your dad and Jerry. It was in the 80s, and I think Sting and was by ringside. It was a loser leaves town match.
Yeah,
that is one of the best matches.
That was the second deal where they built it up for my mom to shave her head. People thought they were going to shave my mom's head again for the second time, but and she went to the ring with it, and it was Paula Lawler and Jerry Lawler, and then on the other side was Beverly Dundee, and it had a lot. It had Billy Travis, had Sting and the Warrior as the Freedom Fighters. It had Pat Rose. It had a whole bunch of wrestlers. Every wrestler in the company, they put them on around the ring.
That's awesome.
And that was really unheard of back in that day, because you had the kayfabe, and they had all these guys sitting next to each other because that's how they made it. Like that's what it was. That's how big of a deal it was.
Right. I'm telling you though, it's one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen a whole lot of matches. So
60 minutes it went. It went like 55 minutes or something.
I know.
And they never ever lost the people, bro. I mean, that's see what the world don't really understand. When you watch Vince McMahon come to town and he brings all them lights and all them cameras and he hits your town, and he comes one time a year to your town.
Yeah.
And most of the time he don't sell the building out.
Right.
He has to give the tickets away to make it full.
Yeah.
In our world, every single Monday night, they had to go to the same building with the same people. Every Tuesday night, you had to go to Louisville with the same people. So to be able to go 52 weeks in a year for 25 years to the same building and still draw money, brother, that's really it's hard as hell to even fathom, to think that could be done.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times will you go see a movie? Maybe twice, 3 times at the most. And this is the same movie coming to your town every week, and they're packing it in, bro. They are packing it in, and it's very, very hard to even just to think about that, man, for real.
It almost seems magic. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. But it was magic, because Jerry Jarrett, Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler, and Eddie Gilbert, and many other guys that would go to the office and get together and book it. And they always said, if the people can call it, they won't come back. So you never could call it. Even if shit, sometimes when I was in the angles, I couldn't call the next deal because they would swerve us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, wow, this is where we're going with this. And they'd be like, nope, we're going to go here. And you go, wow, that is brilliant. But that's why they ran for 40 years in the same towns and drew money and made money,
Yeah, no doubt.
I was going to ask you, Jamie, what do you think had Vince not bought up everything and done all that, what do you think? Do you think that the territories could have survived all this time?
Well, here's the thing. It's not that the territories couldn't survive. It's that the talent couldn't keep up. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. When we moved to America, when I was 4 years old, we came from Australia and we moved to America. There was 32 major organizations. So what that meant was there was 32 world champions, there was 32 tag champions, and then there was other wrestlers. And what I mean by that is you could go Dundee and Lawler are the top 2. Then you got the Rock and Roll versus the Midnight as the tag. And then what you do is you just feed other wrestlers. So you would bring stars from Florida, say, and bring them in, and Lawler and Dundee would beat them, and the Rock and Roll would beat them, and the Midnight would beat them, and a year and a half later, they would go back home, and they are the stars of Florida. So Florida was thrilled to see them, so it would draw again. Yeah. And then you would take Lawler and Dundee in them, and you would feed them to Florida, and you would give them to Florida for a year, and they would put all them guys over, so it give credibility to them. And then you would send them back home, and when they came back to Tennessee, the world was so happy to see them. You know what you see what I'm saying? You could swap the talent. My dad would go into a company and he would fire everybody in the company. But the first thing he would do was make sure they had a job. So he would go into the company and he would say, hey, Danny Davis, hey, Terry Taylor, hey, Magnum TA, you three are going down to work for Dusty and the rock and roll and the Midnight's coming here. You see what I'm saying? And swap the talent around. And if you went through 32 major organizations, you could literally spend a year in each one, 10 years, 5 years later. By the time you came back to your company where you're the star, the people are so happy to see you that it draws again.
Yeah.
And that's how wrestling stayed alive. Plus, everybody could work. I mean, it's not the people's fault today that they don't know how to work. It's because the ones before them didn't know how to teach them.
Right.
You can't teach psychology. You listen. You get on the internet right now. There's a 7-year-old boy playing drums, and he plays Neil Peart's Rush. You know, Neil Peart, one of the greatest
drummer
that
ever.
solo, and he's 7 years old. You can't teach that. That is not ever going to be taught. That is born in you. Tosh Farron is a little guitar player dude. He's about 20 now, but he was 10 years old when he won Australia's Got Talent playing Purple Rain by Prince.
Wow.
You can't teach those things, man. Tiger Woods kind of golf, Michael Jordan kind of basketball. You cannot teach that. It's either in you or it's not. And the same with wrestling. You can teach people to wrestle. As they always say, you can teach 2 monkeys how to wrestle. They just don't know how to do the psychology to sell it to the people.
Yeah.
And that is the part that is in the wrestling world, man, it is the only business that I love that's fed my whole entire family. But it's the only business in the world that I myself can take 16,000 people in a building and I can stand them up, sit them down, make them scream, make them shut up when I want them to, exactly the moment I want them to. Because that is what psychology is. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to go to the ring and go, hey, shut up, you fat girl. That ain't heat at all. Heat is like Jimmy Hart. Sit in that chair and don't move until the very, very end. Jump up, hand him the chain, do the screw, and run away. Yeah. And people are so angry and so mad. Sputnik Monroe, one time, a woman threw her baby at him. That's how mad she was.
Oh, my Lord.
She had her baby in her hand and threw it at this guy because she was that angry of the psychology part. It's just wrestling is so easy. They just made it so hard now.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Harder than it should be.
Wrestling is so easy, but they've made it so hard, and it's not their fault. It's because nobody knew how to teach them. And, my dad had a wrestling school when I was a kid, and that's how I learned to wrestle. I didn't know I was learning to wrestle, but there were 35 people in this wrestling school, and you think Bill Dundee was taking the bumps? No, sir. Right. Every Sunday, all 35 of y'all body slam Jamie. All 35 of y'all drop an elbow on Jamie. All 35 of y'all drop kick Jamie. All 35 of y'all backdrop Jamie. And guess what? Jamie learned to work. Yeah. But I didn't know it. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. If you're a tree climber and you cut down trees, the first time you go up that tree to cut it down, they don't tell you. They just say, keep climbing, keep climbing, keep climbing. Next thing you know, you're on top of this tree and you cut it down. Yeah. They have made our business so hard and so just where I mean, it's exactly what it is. It's entertainment garbage. That's like, they got these script writers that write the script. Right. And they write scripts up for somebody that they don't even know. That'd be like saying, Jamie Dundee, we want you to go out on this TV and we want you to be real quiet. We don't want you to say nothing. We want you to just be out there. Never going to happen. Can't do it. No way possible. But a scriptwriter don't know that, so he just writes, Jamie Dundee going to go out here and be quiet today. Well, the people don't buy that because they know Jamie Dundee can never be quiet.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Right. I mean, that's the truth, man.
Yeah, well,
I remember seeing a match with you at ECW. You like got the mic and you were like, just the crowd was so furious at you in like 10 seconds. It's like,
but see, it was one of those things where everybody in the crowd looks at me and says, I can whoop him. First and foremost. You know what I mean? They're like, that dude, I can whoop the shit out of that guy. Right. Yeah. So that right there is the big plus being a heel, is because the people think, I would kill this guy right here, man. They don't know that, I'm cardio and I'm training hard and, I'm snorting cocaine and I'm doing lots of good things. You ain't whooping me, not in my ring.
First you got to catch me, right?
But that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. It's a mind game. It's kind of like when you watch magic. We know David Copperfield never made the Statue of Elizabeth disappear. We know that Chris Angel never made that tree push aside, and we know all that never happened. But when we watched it, it happened.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And the same thing as wrestling, man. Like I said, if the people can call it, it's over anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's take it way back to the beginning here. So your official start, obviously you're one of the few that were actually born into the business. I think you've probably been in the business since you came out of the womb, essentially.
Yes, true that.
Because of the jobs you would do and getting fat chicks to kiss you on the cheek. And that was awesome too.
I was 8 years old, and that's when it sunk into me that I could do this for the rest of my life. And I don't mind. I was wearing jumpsuits like my dad. I was 8 years old, and I was walking around the wrestling buildings, and back then you could smoke in the buildings, and they sold alcohol, and all them people are smoking and drinking. Them old women, they'd say, "Little Dundee, give me a hug." And I went to the dressing room. I told my daddy, I said, "Daddy, them old women smell, man. They smell like tobacco and alcohol and stuff, man." I said, "They want hugs and kisses." And he said, "Well, charge them." And I thought, really? So I said, I would go back out and walk around. They'd say, "Come here, little Dundee, give me a hug." I'd say, "Ma'am, hugs are $1 and kisses are $2. And them old broads would say, "Well, here's $5. You give me 2 of each." And I'd say, "Oh, God," but I would do it. I'd give them a hug and 2 kisses, and I'd leave that bill. 1977, I'd leave that bill with $30 or $40, and I'd think, damn, that's a lot of money, because most people didn't make $2 an hour back then. And $2 was a whole 8-hour-a-day work, and I did it in an hour kissing fat chicks. I'm like, I can do this. I can do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick time out and get a word from one of my dope-ass sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all, and all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling! Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
So what was your first official match, and where was it?
My very first of it, no, Jaden Starr, that will not. My daughter said, "Well, that worked for me." Nowadays, it's $20 for hugs and kisses, but no, that will not work for you because you are a girl, and girls cannot do that and get away with it. Boys could.
Right.
But my very first match ever was in Knoxville, Tennessee. My dad became the booker for Ron Fuller, Robert Fuller's brother. You know, he had just bought Knoxville. It was called Continental, and Continental closed down, and Ron Fuller bought it and called it the USA Championship Wrestling, and we run in Knoxville, and he hired my dad to be the booker. And so I was on the road, my dad selling my dad's pictures. Bill was a babyface, and they wanted him to switch heel, and he said, "I'm not going to switch heel because my kid's smoking pot already." And, you know, and of course, he's kissing chicks for dollars, and he's wilder than a buck. He's 16 years old, and I don't want to switch heel because if I do that, he can't go on the road with me. So Ron Fuller said, "Why don't you make him the manager?" So he came to me, and this was his exact words. We were cutting the grass, and he said, "Boy, Fuller wants me to switch heel." He said, "You want to be my manager?" And I thought, I don't know. He said, "Son, there's more money, more pussy, and more fame than you can poke a stick at." And I said, "Well, then I want to do it." So by the time we hit the road, and my very first match ever, I was Bill's little heel manager, and nobody knew I was Bill's son. I was just this little manager guy, right? And it was against a midget named Butch Cassidy.
Oh, man.
That was my very first match ever in Knoxville as a heel. And but my dad had already had the wrestling school in Tennessee, in Nashville, so I had already been taking lots of bumps and learned, like I said. And so I did the little match with the manager, with the midget, and brother, you talk about heat, man. That brother, he could go, man. He just said, "Go with me, kid." And he flew me all over that building, and then Bill ran to the ring and power drived him, and I covered him 1, 2, 3. Bro, I thought they were going to riot, man. man. The heat was so, because Bill's not much taller than the midget, but you know, it was two of us and one of him. So when we got that 1, 2, 3, and bro, that started my kind of, you know, my taking bets. Because a heel manager must take bumps, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's why that's when I started that match. Then that company closed. We went to Tennessee, and my very first babyface match. As a matter of fact, I just watched it the other day. It was August the 22nd, 1988. Was my very first match ever announced by, you know, the greatest announcer ever, Lance Russell.
Yes, sir.
And it was great because the people cheer me and boo Bill. I wrestled downtown Bruno.
Yes.
I wrestled downtown Bruno. You know, he was the manager of the stud stable,
Right.
and they had built this little angle. And then we did the angle where Sid Vicious breaks my neck and all that stuff right after that. But it was great because I told Bruno the other day, I said, Bruno, I got our very first match ever from the live camera from the building with Lance Russell doing commentary. And then when he builds me up, Jamie's first match, and people cheer like hell. And when they say in this corner, Bill Dundee, that whole building goes, boo.
Right.
But that's Lawler Company. That's Lawler. You know what I mean? That's Lawler Town. And it was pretty cool because the people, they welcomed me and then told Bill, man. And they were like, your boy's first match, good, way to go, little Dundee, but you're old man, he cheats on Lawler and all. It was great.
That's great.
All right, Jamie. So this is a question that, you know, there's going to be many answers that are possible, I'm sure. But
sure,
who are some of the craziest people in the business that you've come in contact with? I know we've got a recent thing with Billy Jack Haynes, kind of maybe mercy killing his wife and everything like that. But
Allegedly, right?
Allegedly, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, it depends on who you ask. Jamie Dundee would be one of them. I think Dundee's a crazy man.
I think you're quick-witted though, Jamie. I think that's the thing. But you're very quick-witted.
Crazy. My crazy is not Billy. Billy Jack was literally that. And you know what's real weird about that? About 4, 5, 6 months ago, just out of nowhere, bro, I get a message on Messenger. It says, "Hey, bro, how you doing?" And I look at it and I go, Billy J, is that the Billy J? Is that the same guy? Because, you know, it wasn't like me and him were pals or buddies. I mean, he worked in the company with us when we were drawing pretty good. It was the Rock and Roll versus us and him versus Brian. And I mean, it was a good, you know, the company was all together. We were, but it wasn't like me and him were really ever even kind of spoken. And I was like, yeah, I'm good, brother. Is that you, Billy Jack? He's like, yeah, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm all right, brother. I said, how the hell are you, man? I said, shit. I said, you know, like anything, I thought you was already dead, bro. I said, no, I don't mean that in a bad way, but I have not heard that dude's name in 25 years, probably. Right. And then all of a sudden, he just sent me a message. He definitely was a crazy, but he was a big, bad, crazy dude in the 70s and 80s, they said. I mean, he's a tough son of a bitch, man. I mean, I don't know what the situation is. He broke Brian Christopher's collarbone, and he didn't care. He when he would do them interviews and shit, you could see that he was telling you, "I'm going to hurt you." He was coming to hurt you, man. It was definitely one of the craziest bastards I ever met. Now, as far as the wrestling crazy, like Sabu's wrestling crazy. You know what I mean? I mean, that dude puts his body through, or Mankind, the same thing. The things they do to their bodies for this shitty business that don't appreciate it is just wow to me. But if you mean crazy like in the mind, definitely Billy Jack Haynes is way up there long before this wife deal. And let me see, there's two more. Let me think of this other guy's name. Oh, gosh, it's not going to come to me because I'm trying to think of it so hard, you know. Oh.
How about New Jack? New Jack
is, let me say it like this, and they can take this any way they want to take it. New Jack was a bully.
Yeah, okay.
New Jack was a punk bully mother. New Jack never beat nobody up face to face, man to man. New Jack sucker punch people. New Jack put knives in it. You see what I'm saying? Tasered. Right. Whatever. And he did it premeditated. You know what I'm saying? And the reason he did that is because he wasn't tough. He was a coward and a punk and a gangbanger that just happened to get a shot in the wrestling business. You know what I mean? Honestly. And I would say that to his face. I lived with New Jack. Me and New Jack was in Philadelphia. This motherfucker runs and busts the window out of the car while we're putting gas in it. And I put this on my dead mama. New Jack took off the one same way. I jumped in the car and punched the dude in the face.
Man.
And New Jack took off running. You just said, shit, bro, that's how you get killed. I'm like, yeah, that's my car, man.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Honestly, New Jack was a bully and a punk, man. He was one of them dudes that he's only tough if he knows he's going to wrestle the mass transit fat kid and put 4 razors in his. You know what I'm saying? Or Gypsy Joe. Gypsy Joe was an 80-year-old man and damn near beat his ass.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, but New Jack, he definitely was crazy, but he was cowardly. He was a punk crazy. He was the kind of crazy that it takes 5 gang members to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
Five bitches can whoop a man.
Right. I mean, and he would have never done that to a 40-year-old Gypsy Joe. You know what I mean?
Hell, he wouldn't have done that to a 60-year-old Gypsy Joe. You believe that?
Right.
Because he didn't do too well against an 80-year-old Gypsy Joe.
Right, exactly.
And I was the one that drove New Jack to the building. New Jack stayed at my house before that show. And Joe was the type of guy. Joe believed Joe was still the same Joe at 80 years old. And New Jack even said, hey, brother, what you want to do here? And he goes, you bring it, whatever you got. And Jack's like, damn, is this old dude for real? Yeah, Jack, he's for real. I said, but listen, man, I said, Joe, just, it's nothing. Just go out here and, just do your little thing. And Gypsy Joe, backed Jack in the corner and punched him in the face about 3 times and damn near knocked him out. And that's when Jack said, holy shit, this dude's for real.
Busted
and he grabbed him by the hair and he tied it around the top rope. And then he just kept, his size was 4 times bigger than Joe. And Joe was an 80-year-old man.
Right.
Because believe me, Joe lived down the road from my mama's house. And I saw him after that. And it hurt him. It hurt Joe. It hurt Joe's pride. But it also hurt Joe and let Joe kind of know that, because New Jack was a 35-year-old gang-banging brother, And so, honestly, if you would have told Joe and New Jack, y'all go to the ring and fight, just throw them fist, I don't know if Jack could have took him.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Yeah, I agree. I think Joe would have whooped him any other I believe
Joe would have whooped him there if Joe wasn't. Jack didn't realize what was happening and so he grabbed him by the long hair, tied it around the top rope, and then just started punching him in the face.
Yeah.
And Joe was an 80-year-old man. And I don't care what nobody says. Youth beats age at any time, any day of the week. Youth is the way. Youth is always going to win. It's got to. There's no way it's not.
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. So we talking about Gypsy Joe, obviously that leads me to talk about this guy. So on the Wolfie D podcast, when you were on there, I asked Wolfie, I was like, Wolfie, what was your first thoughts of Jamie? He was like, man, he's walking around his dad's jumpsuit. I hated him. He was so cocky. I want to find out from you, what were your first thoughts of Wolfie D?
Well, first of all, I didn't know that Wolfie was ever in the crowd because by that time I was had been the manager, because throughout my life, Jerry Jarrett would get mad at me or something and they would fire me, right? You know what I'm saying? Right. And then later on they'd bring me back for a little angle and we'd do a little angle to help, pop bill or whatever. Because, like I said, they were very smart businessmen as far as that goes. But I never even knew Wolfie was in there. I met Wolfie D when I remember meeting Wolfie D. He was Airwolf, and he was coming to where I live now. I live in a little town called Seabury, Kentucky, and right down the road was Central City and all these little towns we run in. And we really did for a bunch of outlaw wrestlers. We worked every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we were off Monday and Tuesday. And so we would do the same kind of little circuit. And so when I met Wolfie, I thought he was really good. He was a little skinny kid called Airwolf, but I thought he was really good. And so I started doing angles with him, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times in, these outlaw towns, it's their cousin Johnny and old Uncle Bobby and all them and little Billy and they suck, but they're on the show because their moms are the promoter, whatever. So when I found somebody that could wrestle, I would always say, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put that guy with me. So, it was because I wanted to learn to wrestle and get better. And the only way to get better is to do it in front of people, whether it's 5 people or 5,000. Right. And I thought Wolfie was really good. And then when he did the first time, he put the shorts on and did the DJ. He called himself DJ Wolfie D.
Okay.
And Chris Champion said, and I was Jamie the Ice Baby Dundee because I had just come off that Memphis TV where I was managing Stone Cold and all that, and I turned into JC the Ice Baby because of Vanilla Ice, and so I turned on my dad and stuff. So when I come out of that, and when started doing the Outlaw Towns wrestling, I was a babyface so I could sell my pictures, and I was just Jamie the Ice Baby Dundee. And Chris Champion said, man, y'all should do that together, and that's how we. But my first things of Wolfie, I don't ever remember him being at the fairgrounds or none of that, because back then he would have just been a mark, and we didn't associate with marks.
Right,
like I said, we were a mafia. We would associate them when they had dollars in their hands, and after that, you shuffle them on out the way and let the next dollar come to the table.
Oh man, I would love to know that Wolfie bought a picture from Jamie. Can we just make that story up?
I would love to know that too, but he would never, ever on this planet admit that if he did. He would never tell us. I guarantee he would never tell us. But he did tell me that he hated me. He used to say, I hated you, man. You walked around there so cocky. I said, I wasn't walking around there cocky. I was cocky. Yeah. What are you talking about? I was Bill Dundee's boy. You know, what are you talking about?
Right,
you paid $15 to get in, not me. Yeah, my daughter walks around cocky, and she's only ever seen me one time in the ring.
Right. Well, it's in the blood. It's in the blood, man.
Yeah. It is, because let me tell you something. I took her up north to, when I did them, I no-showed the last two, but I did do 2 conventions with Wolfie up there. I did the Eric Sims thing. I went up there and made my wrong right, because I didn't know anybody would really give a shit if I showed up or not, but I guess they did, and I'm glad. Yeah. But I took my daughter to that, and that was the very first time she had ever seen her dad, Jamie Dundee, as a star or a celebrity or whatever you want to call it. With people lining up to get my autograph and stuff. And she had never, ever seen that before. And, she knew her grandpa's a wrestler. She knew I was a wrestler. She, the things are online. But I guess when that's your dad and then you don't really care. You live with them. All she wants is a new iPhone and some new Nikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the first time that I told Angela, I said, damn. I think my kid just got bit by the bug, and we can't have that. We're sitting in that Philadelphia arena at the ECW arena, and then people's lined up, and I'm signing autographs, and I look over, and my kid's got on them shades like that Almost Famous video, the Almost Famous cover, the girl with the shades. Oh, yeah. Jaden Stark got them shades on, got a PG-13 shirt on, got a marker in her hand, and shit, she's ready to sign, bro.
I bet.
I said, no, we're creating a monster right here, man. I said, I don't think she really understood what that in my day I was kind of somebody. You know what I mean? That people want your autograph, and I don't know. It's pretty. Yes, she said she flexes it. She said, "You're my biggest flex." I tell everybody, Brian Christopher come and live with us for a while before he passed away and stuff, and so she would tell everybody, Brian Christopher, my best friend. She was like 7, 8 years old. She's like, Brian Christopher, my best friend. And people say, it is not. She called him on the phone. Tell him, Brian, you my best friend. But the celebrity part, I think it was. She saw that, and so by the end of this 2 days, man, she's signing autographs, and I'm like, oh no, this is not going to happen. My kid's not going to be in this damn entertainment business. It's not happening. Right. And so, but it's kind of good that they get to see that part, but the outcome's always so bad. But I mean, hell, I don't know. I've always said the outcome in the entertainment world's bad, but the outcome I guess in a lot of things is bad. I don't know. I have no answers. I don't know if I did it right or if I did it wrong, but I know I'm still here. So whatever it is, it worked.
Right, exactly. And now a word from our sponsor. Support for Live and in Color with Wolfie D is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped recently launched the Ultimate Men's Hygiene Bundle, the Performance Package. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code WOLFIE at manscaped.com. If my math's correct, that's about 8 million balls. Well, let's just pretend like the day comes. How old is she? How old is Jade?
Jade's 14. She'll be 15. And when's your birthday? I got so many. I got one in every month, so I don't know. That's what I should have named them. I should have named them by the month they were born. Yeah, but well, yeah, she'll be 15 in August. So
okay, so she's coming up on that age where she may make that decision, man. What would you do when she does that?
What would I do? But first of all, she couldn't do it in the wrestling business because I burnt so many bridges. Not that I gave because everybody called me. I didn't call them. You know,
Right.
Our talent, like I always said, me and Wolfie are one of the most underrated tag teams in our
Amen.
sport.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Me and Wolfie used to put us in that ring. Well, here's an example. We went to the WWF and wrestled the Smoking Guns. Cowboy Bill Watts comes to me and says, well, you got your work cut out for you tonight, Jamie. Said, they are the WWF World Champions, and they don't have a clue. And he said, you boys better get with them and get it right. And that's what we did. If you watch that match is great.
It's
Me
great.
and Wolfie are, you know, we're together. We don't weigh as much as one of them. But by God, them people didn't know if they were going to put us over or not. That's how, because we are, you know, that's just, but Wolfie has a great mind for this business, as I do. And like I said, some things you're just born in you. You can't teach it.
Right.
And so, just trying to teach them two big dudes how to do something. So a lot of times we didn't even tell them like that. We gave a spot called the cat and mouse where one runs over and they get on him, and then the other one starts chasing him off, and then I run over and get on him. And we didn't really tell them that, because if you tell them that, they would have that up.
Right.
So what we did was said. So what we said was, come on, we did what you're supposed to, like a little kid. Well, we taunted him, come on. And then he would chase me, and then Wolfie would go over and get the heat. And then I'd say, go chase Wolfie. He'd run over and chase Wolfie, and I'd get it. So, but if we would have told him that at the beginning, would have never went right.
I know.
Because, you know, it's one of those, that's what's wrong with the wrestling business today. The two guys get in the back, and they go over every single thing they're going to do. And if they go to the ring and something messes up, they don't have a clue what to do. They're lost. They're scared. They don't. And here's one thing that I always knew. In wrestling, there's an offense and a defense. If you spot up, that's because the other guy was so good that he made you miss. You just carry on. You keep going. You know, what they do is panic. They freeze. They just stop and they go, oh my God, what do we do now? What do we do now?
Yeah.
And Archie Bunker said to Meathead one time, Meathead came in and said, Archie, why are you watching wrestling? Said, that stuff is fake. Said, they know who's going to win or lose. And Archie Bunker said, yeah, they do, but I don't.
Amen.
And
there you go.
And that is what makes our business, like I said, one of the greatest magical business. Like I said, I can take everybody in the building and make them do exactly what I want them to do when I want them to do it, because that is what my art form is supposed to be able to do.
Yeah.
And bless their hearts, it's not their fault, because the ones before them told them this is how you do it. You get in the back. Listen, in our day, they gave us the finish. They said, at the very end, we're going to have so-and-so, you duck the chair, and he's going to nail you with a chair. Wolfie, you hit it with a hubcap, 1, 2, 3. And every single thing from the beginning to that point, we called it in the ring. We did it. We did it when we got out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and me and Wolfie were so good that we didn't even have to speak. We just knew what the other one was thinking.
Right.
And that's what the Rock and Roll had. That's what the Midnight had. That's what really successful tag teams. That's what they have. You just have to look at each other. You just know. It's just because common sense tells us that this is what has to happen at this spot in this moment right now, or it don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? And that cannot be taught. That just can't be taught.
Yeah.
Jamie, how far ahead of your time do you think PG-13 was? Like, it used to have to be a monster in like WWE. Like, you had to be like the Smoking Guns. They were monsters. They might not could work that great, but they were monsters.
Yeah,
that's what.
But they are huge. And for those people that don't understand how big these guys are, like even the WWE people, when you say a guy is 6'8" and 310 pounds, that sounds big.
Yeah.
But when you look and you stand next to 6'8", 310 pounds, you really understand how big that is. Yeah. You know, like Andre the Giant, when you say 7 foot something, that sounds tall. But until you actually stand and look up at that dude, then you understand, oh my God, as far as the question, how far ahead of our time, I don't believe we were ahead of our time. I believe we were born too late. I believe we should have been. I always said I should have been born when my sister was born, because you know what I'm saying. The wrestling world back then, it was sympathy on the little guys. You had the big bad heels, sympathy on the baby faces. The more selling you did, the over you got. And I believe I was born too late.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I believe that, because in my whole life, you know, growing up in the wrestling business, I wished I would have born 10 years earlier, so I could have got that 1980s run. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Me and Wolf would have made mega bucks in the 80s,
Oh,
bro.
yeah, completely.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. I always thought we were like we were way too smart, and I always just thought I missed my spot. I should have been. That's the way I see it. But as far as to answer your question, as far as the promoters and the way the wrestling world was. Listen, Andrew Dice Clay is one of the greatest comedians on our planet. He sold the Madison Square Gardens out in 1986 with dirty nursery rhymes. But he was so far ahead of his time, you couldn't say lesbian and whatever. And he did. And the world just did not know how to take it. And that's what killed his career, was because he was so far ahead of his time. But it was comedy, and comedy is the truth, and the truth is funny. I mean, honestly, the truth is funny. And so as far as I just like I say, Jed, I don't know. That's a hell of a question, but I myself don't think I think I missed my time. I think I was born too late.
Yeah, I think y'all be making hand over fist now, though. I think y'all be making a ton of money right now too, though. If y'all were working in the scene right now, man, y'all would own AEW. I'm serious.
Yeah, but that's right, and that's exactly. Let me tell you something. That's why guys like me and Wolfie, and there's a bunch of us out there, aren't in the wrestling business, because we wouldn't put up with the way the wrestling business is now.
Right, and that makes sense.
My character, JC Ice and Wolfie D, the two little rapping thugs, I would not go out there and do what this scriptwriter just told me to do. Matter of fact, when the first time we went to the WWF, they told us to do this interview for the Smoking Guns, and they stood us in front of a camera, and the camera had these words rolling on it.
Right,
and
teleprompter,
and
yeah.
it had some words, and then it said Wolf, and it had some words, and we both said, whoa. Said, what is that shit right there? And they said, that's what you're going to say. And we said, that ain't what we're going to say. You're going to turn that off. And you're going to tell us how long you want this interview and watch this. And sure enough, they turned it off. And they said, the interview's got to be 90 seconds long. We said, hit the camera. Bam. Smoking Guns. 16-time USWA tag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the people up there, they don't know no better. So they have to have that written for them. But see, here's the thing. In our world, like I said, we had to sell the same product every week to the same people in the same building. And they know damn good and well JC Ice and Wolfie D wouldn't have come out there and said what they just wanted us to say. So we didn't say it. I don't know where we are. That's not, when we went to Mexico, when we went to Puerto Rico, when we went all over the world, they said, you guys do what you do. We got enough Mexicans, enough Puerto Ricans, and enough whatevers. We want y'all to do what y'all do, because they never seen what y'all do. You see what I'm saying? We've always said you can take our Southern Tennessee style wrestling anywhere in the planet, and it will get over. But you can't bring all that other shit to Memphis and think it'll get over. Ain't gonna happen.
Right, exactly.
You don't believe it, the people aren't gonna believe it, and we got to sell it to them every week, or we don't get paid. So, by God, you know what I'm saying? I believed, honestly, every time I talked, I believed what I said. I honestly believed that I could beat that dude up, no matter who it was, if that's what the case was.
You could tell. It was evident, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. You can tell that Jelly Roll is what he says he is.
Yeah.
He come from the streets of Nashville. He went to jail. He did live in a boy's home. He did. And so he gives back to the world and the people that made him what he is. You know what I'm saying? He don't forget where he came from, and he's a real mother. Man.
Right.
And my boy Easy Jesus Allen Cole. He's David Allen Cole. Matter of fact, speaking of podcasts, me and Easy Jesus is fixing to start a podcast.
Please start that.
Yeah,
Please.
well, Jimmy, I believe you'll be the one. Listen, Easy, my boy has been calling me for 2 years. He sent me every bit of equipment we need to start this. And I'm just the type of guy, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing 1 minute to the next. But now I'm slowing down in life. And also, he's put so much work into it. I got to do it for my boy. You know what I mean? But he just reached to me out of nowhere and said, Jamie Dundee, man, you are a great talker. And I think me and you got something the world needs to see and hear. And let's start this. So for you, Easy, my boy, we're going to start this. We're going to get with Jimmy, and we're going to start, and it's going to be called Living Life with Ice and Easy, baby.
I love it. That's it.
I don't know what we're going to talk about. He don't know what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk about something, and those that want to listen. What's your better name? My child has a better name.
Okay.
Oh, she says we should be called Living Life with Easy and Ice.
Oh, I love it. That's awesome.
Living life as Easy and Ice. That's good, baby.
I like it. Yeah.
But to me, like I guess because I grew up in the entertainment world, I have never ever in my life, like I said, thought I was a star or thought I was better than, like, I never pictured myself. If someone sends me a message on Facebook, I answer every single message I ever get in my life. Because if someone's going to take the time to ask me something, I'm going to take the time to answer it.
Right.
And I think it's just bullshit. And they're like, Dundee, I can't believe you answered me. And I go, well, why can't you believe that? I said, you asked me a question. It's called Facebook. It's called Messenger. You asked me a question. In life, if we're going down the street, do you answer me a question? I'm going to answer it for you. And it may not be the answer you're hoping to get, but I'm going to answer it for you. And so I guess, I'm like, I didn't know anybody would ever care that I no-showed them conventions. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's when that was the first time I ever thought, really? Well, these people are all mad at me. Wolfie got paid to be there twice because I didn't show up, and this guy's mad at me because I didn't show up. What's he mad about? Like, everybody cares. You know what I mean? I was like anybody cares. But now that I know that somebody did care, well, then by God, I'm more than happy to show up. And I made my wrong right. I went and did the two I was supposed to do.
Right.
And so I didn't know. So listen, the world, y'all be ready. It's ice and easy, no matter what we call it. Jaden Starr co-hosting, I don't know, but we're going to talk about shit, and it may not be stuff you want to hear. It may be, as they say in the world today, your feelings. It may be about racism. It may be about politics. It don't matter, because I'm not. When I get on Facebook and I make a post, I never, ever go back and read a comment. You know why? Because I don't care what anybody else has got to say. I put that post out because that's what I felt, and that's how I feel at that moment. I didn't put that out because I wanted someone to give me their opinion. I don't care. I put that out there because that is how I felt at that moment. And sometimes I think it's funny. Sometimes I think it's, I don't know, racist. Sometimes I think it's your feelings, but I don't care because it's called Jamie Dundee's page. And if you don't like it, get off my page. You know, it's not about y'all. And so I don't know. I've just always lived my life like that. I've never ever cared what anybody else said. The only reason I found out what people said, like New Jack said one time, Jamie Dundee said the N-word. He didn't say the N-word when he lived with me. Well, no. Because you was the coke man. If you go to Rome, you do as the Romans do. I'm not going to go to Rome and say, hey, Romans suck. I'm going to go to Rome and say, you Romans are the shit. Let me get another bump. It's just, people kill me. Now, listen, where I live now, I live in the country. I have rebel flags in my yard. I'm not a racist, bar none am I a racist. But those people that say Jamie Dundee's a racist, good. Because I don't want you motherfuckers coming around my house and shit. I want people to ride by my house and say, that's where that crazy racist wrestler lives. And then if they come out my yard, they would see my boy. I have a lot of black kids in my family. I have a lot of nieces and nephews that are black. I don't even, Australia, we don't even have a black and white racist thing. I learned that in America. I learned these words in America. I was raised in America since I was 4, but I was raised by 2 Australians, and they don't know nothing about that. Our black people are aborigines. They still live in the jungle. They still climb trees, and they still hunt, and they get water off roots, and they do tribal things. So be it, but I mean, listen, America is such an, how can I say this without offending anybody? Well, I don't even care if I offend anybody. America is such a bullshit. It's kind of like Vince McMahon. It's so phony and so bullshit that they think money can buy everything and take care of everything. And then when the truth comes out, it's all, oh, woe is me, poor me. That man up and take what's coming to you, dude.
Still live and in color on the Wolfie D. You got a cap for your dome.
Hi, this is Mike Needham, host of the Reckless Abandon Podcast with Mike Needham. We invite you to jump on your favorite podcast platform and search for the Reckless Abandon Podcast and give us a listen. I'm sometimes joined by a part-time podcaster, part-time co-host, and full-time wife, Tiffany Nicole. We talk wrestling, we talk pop culture, we talk local events, local happenings in West Tennessee, and a ton of other stuff. But be sure to check out the Reckless Abandon Podcast. Find us on Facebook. Also, look up the Microgroup Podcasting family on Facebook and see some of our other podcasts we have out there. Until next time, make good choices and always remember, no dollar, no dice.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it. plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
So that was another great episode. Hey, Wolfie, tell them where they can find you on social media.
Jimmy, they can find me in the club, bottle full of bub. I'm just kidding. They can find me on Facebook. My personal page is Warren Wolf, WOLFE. I'm on Instagram at Warren Wolf 13.
You can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Wolfie D. Here's the thing. Wolfie always has offers for his autographed photos. He has a selection of some awesome photos from throughout his career that he will autograph and personalize any way that you want him to. Just contact him either directly at his personal Facebook page or through any one of our other pages, and we'll make sure you get in contact directly with Wolfie. Get those photos, right, Wolfie?
Yeah, I've got some good stuff on there, to help with the podcast.
Folks, if you can't get out to a show to meet Wolfie D, there's nothing like that, especially for the fans of PG-13 and Wolfie D. And before we go, you can always find me, your host, Jimmy Street, at jamesrockstreet on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
And hey, Jimmy, before we go real quick, I just want to add in there, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate, first of all, the work you've done for this podcast. You have worked your butt off. Secondly, the people that are liking the page. Beyond that, even more, is the people that are listening, and we really appreciate that.
Yeah, and remember, guys, the podcast drops a new episode every Monday at noon, and our past episodes are streaming now on demand on all major podcast formats. Thanks again.
Yeah. PG-13 Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame Class of 2024. Give it up. Spaceman Jones with the beat. Here we go. The 90s was ours, and we did it with pride. 15-time tag champs, what a hell of a ride. Rock and roll couldn't beat us. No Tommy and Doug. Knox Mothers, dirty white boy who called themselves thugs. T is for terrible. H is for hell. Ha! PG both been locked up in county jail. The kid was real, and we were immature punks. Buddy Wayne couldn't stand us because we didn't wear trunks. We did it our way, in and out of the ring. Bought a real rap swagger to the Memphis thing. You can hate it, you can love it. We just did our thing. Still true to the game. Now we Hall of Fame. PG-13. Put respect on our name. Yeah.
This has been a James Rock Street production.